So today I'm here with Charlie. Can you please introduce me to your role?
Okay. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for having me. Yes, my current role is Associate Strategy Director at Frog in Spain, which has 3 studios in Spain, and I'm head of brand for everything that's related with brand strategy to activation or enablement for brands in Madrid, in Spain.
Yeah. So how did you get into this position?
Okay, I'll go to this position is really, really interesting. So I met at the time I was in another agency, also brand agency specialized in corporate branding, and I was doing a training for in Hyper Island called Leading Innovation, where I met a lot of people at different agencies, also companies. The majority of them were Swiss and from the Netherlands, a lot of them. So we had from pharma to retail to everyone was there. The school was really intensive because it was a 4-day presential in London. So there I met Russell Effio, who today is the VP or Vice President for Frog at Frog Spain. That's where I met him, but he wasn't at Frog at the moment. He was also in a different agency. So we connected, and this was 2018. COVID came in 2022, which was enlightening for everyone. It helped me or enabled me to pursue what I really wanted to do in my life. So I connected back to him. He was at Frog at the moment, and he said, well, I think it's time for us to work together. So basically, this is how it happened. So I got into the process of recruitment, and that was it, basically. So I started as a lead first because at that moment there was no practice of brand strategy at Prague. So basically, I made my way up there, which is something that is recurrent in my work and life as well, experience. So this is how I ended up there.
Really interesting. That just for people who don't know Frog, can you please just
Yeah.
briefly describe what Frog is?
Okay. Frog is a creative consultancy, a global creative consultancy. It's 40 years old, almost 50 years old. And it was founded by two German from Black Forest is in Stuttgart, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's Stuttgart or it's from Germany for sure. But basically Frog is really curious because it's not only it stands for what our logo is, which is Fridolino, and I'll tell you the story about Fridolino also. But Prague initially was like Federal Republic of Germany. So Prague, that's one way of putting it because they were there and they founded this company and the name while being in the Black Forest, like ideating and feeling, in contact with nature. And that's where they found Fridolino, which is the frog that is our logo. And our logo it was like a 90 days shootout, like every day with looking for a picture doing it. And it became the pet of the studio as well. But why is it so relevant in product design? It started as product design. And it's relevant because they're the ones who designed the first Apple computer, the first Sony Walkman. The attachments were product design were the main achievements. The Sony Walkman, the Sony television, the first flat screen was also a product of Frog. And more lately, more into through the decades, we also evolved from product design to experience to everything that is creative and design and innovative came from there. And the biggest red dot prize one of the biggest that we got was the Walt Disney Park Experience. The bracelet was done by Frog as well. So big achievements there. We evolved as a company. We also did not follow trends. We also were innovators in all of it. And that's what really attracted me to Frog. And today we are innovators, strategists, and designers that come together to accomplish big things. But main of all is our personality. And as a brand is something that I can understand and relate, which is being bold, audacious, having this self-confidence that you need to, prove the intangible power and wealth that is branding as well. But not only branding, but being innovative and being courageous and brave enough, follow what you believe in. And this is Frog today. This is where we are. So we're present. We have a lot of studios everywhere, but mainly our main focus is Germany, France, of course. because the story of Prague lately has gone through some transformations, and now we joined forces with Capgemini Invent. So we are part of the Gemini group, and this is what we call the galaxy. So we have the best of both worlds of technology through Capgemini, and then Invent, which is the part of innovation that we're there, and then all the strategies and all the creative sides melt into Frog. So we have a lot of clients from everywhere, but mainly then it depends locally from which studio. So with that said, what I mean is we're very strong on the automotive in Germany, very strong in retail and everything that has to do more with loyalty and schemes like that. In Spain, for instance, where one of the biggest retailers are there, and automotive also as well is there as well. But again, North America also present with a lot of stuff like Disney and all the big Fortune 500 companies that we help and work in pharma as well. So a bit everywhere in the world, and I'm really proud of being Frog, and I'm really proud of getting this achievement and managing the people and collaborating with people that I have today. So basically in Madrid, just to give you the head count, we're at the moment we're 130. Split between Valencia, Madrid, and Barcelona.
Okay. I'm curious, like, how did you start? Like, how did you get into this industry?
How much time do you got? Nah, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm kidding. No, it was pretty curious, okay, because it's contextual, and it's something that I've learned a lot of my 38 years of experience, which is timing is everything, independently of the market or the product or the innovation that you're doing. And I believe this is something that I'm coining brandtuity in an article that is coming out soon. But it basically has to do with first, the nature and the essence of being curious, trying things, doing things, going, just digging in and being curious. That was my main thing. So with that said, I was lucky enough, the timing that I was talking to you about, I was lucky enough to be raised on a British household and educated with a British culture and everything else. So language was my leverage. And of course, being in Portugal, which is perfectly normal, meaning you don't see many Black persons speaking English or fluent, or even speaking the Portuguese language fluently and with nothing. And of course, I stood out because of that. So that has to do with that. It comes with it. That was like the first leverage I got. So characteristic or quality is the timing and what I did with the opportunities that I had. Okay. So with that said, going through that and going into Ivy League university that I did, pretty much I called the attention of one or two teachers, and they offered me the opportunity to have an internship on TV, on a private channel here on TV. So that's how I got into the media industry first. But since I was like really young, I always loved everything that had to do with advertising and the movies and a lot of music as well. And that's where I like really made my mark, meaning in the sense that because I was a mellow, I loved music and I knew a lot, and I grew up around vinyls and, listening to every band that was like disruptive or made a revolutionary movement, talking Beatles, Rolling Stones, anything like more close to my age, like Nirvana, and then the cyberpunks that were Prodigy and stuff, following the movement and stuff like that. I had this opportunity in the private channel to everything that was related to music I had to do, which at the time, because it was a private channel, we had the ability of, creating your own content and, introducing the concept of product placement and stuff like that. So basically they said, look, here, you have cameraman, you have a budget, like a small budget, do whatever you want with this, we'll air it. So I was creative enough and lucky enough to create my own show and to, allow to get with the local music promoters, because to be fair, the channel had the ability to do the summer festivals coverage. So that got me the ability to speak to managers, band managers and what I did was not only I covered the festival, the concerts in itself, but I also did some music interviews. So I got in touch with a lot of people there and everything else, and that was really cool. So basically, I made my own way in the channel, and I got from intern to producer and director. I had that ability. So we created a lot of content and original content here in Portugal. And lucky enough, one of the programs that I was the producer and also I was the main producer, it really jumped into the highlight of famous here in Portugal. And that's what gave me or allowed me to grab the attention of a lot of people. But like I told you, I was happy enough. I stayed in that. I finished university while working. So when I got my master's, basically, I said, okay, I'm comfortable, but I'm comfortable with the work I have. I have everything, but I'm very ambitious. All my friends from when I was growing up were away because they were British. So they were or in England or in British speaking countries working and living and having a good time. And I said, no, I have to be more ambitious than this. I'm okay. Okay. I'm famous here in Portugal, but famous in the sense of as a producer, not a public figure. But again, I wanted more. So I had the opportunity to jump into MTV because it was also opening year. But the challenge that they gave me, it wasn't as I thought it would be. So I stayed there for a year, but it gave me the ability to travel. And while I was traveling, I got opportunities and I got the chance to do some internships in 3 different agencies, which were Mother, White and Kennedy, and Vice. And at the same time that I was there, so I moved to London and I stayed there for a year and I did the internships there, like quarters, like three months in a place, 3 months in another place. But at the same time, I enrolled myself in the London Business School to know the hype that was at the time, which was content, really generating like UCG, user generated content was the trend at the time, because it was on the time where agencies didn't know what to do with the production companies. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's when digital was away. So basically, while I was in London, that's when I applied to have us in Portugal. And this was like 2000 or something like that. So I applied through a video. I did my own video on my YouTube and I sent it as a CV. And that's how I went to Havas, and I stayed in the strategic planning for a while, for 3 years. But after those 3 years, I found out that my love was branding. So I changed as well for a branding boutique here in Portugal as well. And that was where I found my space, really. Like, creating brands, creating all the process behind it, giving the sense that people should have about brands and how brands can really change the world. That was me, percent. So basically, from there on, I just stayed. I tried to learn the best as I could. And I also tried to basically evolve and not only be part of the movement itself, but to be present and, fuel my curiosity. So from branding, everything that's around branding and the content and activation and enablement was something that I was always on knowing. So again, with all the social media impact and everything else, from the branding boutique, I went to Isobar, which today is Dentsu. And in Dentsu was my first encounter with the digital space, meaning that we were in Isobar, we had a lot of fast moving consuming goods brands that were like jumping into the digital world, meaning like they were activating social media through physical events. I remember this. Wow. I seem old now, but we did that. We did that a lot. So, I still remember doing like, what's it called? Flash on Facebook pages. I seem so old. I hate this. But no. But this is also a really good part of my experience, and probably there was when I learned a lot. But then the corporate world called me, meaning that as the time grew by, I knew that I wanted to be more close to C-suites and key decision makers, because it is impactful, and I could also leverage all of my qualities and characteristics. As I say, is to be honest, okay, I'm completely aware of myself and the nature of me and my physicality and anything else. And as you can see, I am my own brand. Like, you don't see many people, at least in the consultancy world, wear the afro or the beard like this. And coming into C-suite and being frog, probably this is what they expect, right? Like, I will be creative for sure, but being creative and be a consultant, talking to C-suites, for them, this is exotic in the sense that I'm going to add value to helping them think. And this is basically what I love doing, is like making a thing within, of course, the business side of it and everything else that I've learned. And I learned a lot doing that, being on this agency, this corporate branding agency. I learned a lot from that as well. And today I'm very happy to be with my mentor, or even my hierarchy and everyone around me, as just a bunch of smart people that just add more value to everything that I do. And I think I add value to what they do as well by by bringing all the knowledge and the experience that I learned throughout my life. But my next step is just to, share this experience like I'm sharing it with you as well. And also the same thing and the same way that I want to grow myself as well. But more now because it doesn't seem like it, but I am 40 years old. It does. It's like I really want to share the knowledge, but at the same time grow myself more emotionally, like the EQ. I think I'm getting more steps that way. And now, because you didn't tell me, so you said Charlie, but my real name is Carlos. So this is the storytelling that I wanted to bring to your attention as well. So what happened is basically, I don't know if you're aware, but Carlos is very Portuguese and Spanish, but the translation to English is Charles, right? So reading in a British school, there's a lot of Carlos in my class, but because I was brown and because Carlos is, so everyone called me Charlie Brown. So that's why I come up with the name Charlie. So this is the storytelling, and it kept. So all my friends call me Charlie, and today I assumed that I'm going to embrace it. Why not? It was a funny story, and it's a good story to share.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm curious, like, it's always interesting to hear people who have worked in different environments and like different countries and cities. And it's like one thing is to adjust to the environment you're in to be accepted, but it's also like staying true to yourself and who you are. Like, where do you think the balance is there?
100%. I totally agree with that. But the thing is, it has to be in you, and the balance you have to, pick it up yourself, which is where are you most comfortable, where do you need to define and set your goals. I think that probably comes from the planning side of me or the planning experience that I had, meaning that everything that you do comes back to you. And this is something I learned from Sagmeister. Like he has this thing, it's saying, and I really believe in that. So every time you're like, if you're in it, be full in it because you need to embrace it. Or once you get to a point that this is not for me, that's a sign, right? That's a way for you to decide whether to move forward or go back and relearn and try to do better, or just advance and think of how can you evolve in another place. But of course, I'm saying that based on the experience that I had, which is different. And I think that goes back to my foundations, I believe. And that has a lot to do with education that I got and this mindset and way of thinking. It's probably because of the people that surround me at the time. Because I learned through like these self-made men, like they were Portuguese, but they lived the English culture because they lived there and they came back. So they also, like, foundations that they gave me was always to be true to yourself from the very beginning. And I mean, it is harsh when you're learning and doing that. When you're a kid, you don't understand it why, but once you mature and you get the living of it, it's how you do. But the balance, you get it by owning what you do, by being accountable, but most of all, for believing in yourself. So every time, like, if it's something you really want, like, okay, I'm curious about this country, I'm going to adapt to that country and adapt to the culture and, make sure that you can fulfill what is demanded from you and be honest with yourself, because vulnerability is a very powerful word. This is what I've learned so far.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about kind of inspires you. You said you found like branding and like working with brands, something you really liked. What about it inspires you?
For me, it's exactly like from the very first moment. For me, inspiration comes from simplicity. It's like I love like the simple things, like whoa, like just changing a word in something. The wording, like the simplicity of it. This is what really gives me goosebumps every time I think of it. It's the simplicity of things. But again, the brand, like everyone defines brand like a more academic way, a more, Seth Godin guru style thing. But the best I got so far is that the gut feeling people have, and also real estate in people's mind. That for me is what brand stands for. Okay. Which is, you don't call, let me see, we call ice cream Ben and Jerry, or we call safety Volvo. That's for a reason, right? So this is the simplicity of this, of, having the audacity of thinking, hey, no, you should do this like Steve Jobs did to everyone. That's what inspires me the most. It's like, how can we change behaviors, change mindsets just through narratives and storytelling? And this, to me, this is what inspires me. So every time, it's because I'm curious by nature. So I'm trying to dig and do everything. And that's, for me, the beauty of being a strategist, right? Of course, there's different interpretations and different descriptions of what strategy should be. But the way I see it, I mean, the best quote I ever heard was from Winston Churchill that said, planning without meaning is like meaning without planning. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what strategy is to me. Like, it's just an intent of something. It doesn't mean it has to be sacred. It doesn't mean it's going to have that consequence or effect, but the intent is 50% of the goal you aspire. So for me, inspiration comes exactly from, not only academics, not only the research that we do. And this is a thing that I come to appreciate a lot in Prague, is that everything is sustained by quantitative research aside with quantitative research, meaning not every number or not every data exactly means what people are thinking. And hearing from people saying, no, I feel the product should be this because it makes me feel this way, is something that is intangible, and it's really, really rich, but because it gives you insights to everything. So my inspiration comes from not only being curious and getting to know people, but at the same time, the ability to change people's minds. For me, that's really inspiring.
Wow. Have you had any role models like in work or like from distance that you've looked up to that took inspiration from or showed you the way?
That's a really cool question, and it's a question that I share with every people that works with me, which is, I was lucky enough to never have bosses but have friends. That was like, for me, that's a big learning and also insight as well. Meaning that when it was time to like break through, or I had enough, I was not sure that I was like being peaked. This is what I did. And all of my bosses were role models, meaning that they taught me a lot and they gave me chances. So basically, just answering your question, once I wasn't happy or it wasn't fruitful, the relationship that we were having, one of them, and I had him in a role model because he was a shark commercially. He was like, he knew how to speak properly with the clients, with something I wasn't used at the time, because I had roles that only got me some depth to the client, but not like reach out to the client, meaning let's go for lunch and discuss this idea. Never had that chance, but today I do it. But he was this type of guy. Like, he was a really cool guy, but he also had other less best things. Like, in relationship wise, if he knew you well, he would push you, not in the best of ways. So I learned, like, as a role model, I had the good side and the bad side, and I was able to learn how to balance things. But I did come to him when I had enough. I crossed the red line and I said, look, I'm going because I want to keep our friendship. And this was something that, well, I don't know. I was courage, bold enough to do that. Man, he's the one who, like, everything that I have from my firstborn, he gave it to me. You know what I mean? Like, he was there. I mean, we learned from both sides. So as a role model, he taught me that. So all the role models that I have close to me were the ones who really make a dent in my life and are part of my life today.
Mm.
So this is something that this is an advice that I give to everyone that works with me, which is on be open, be transparent, and be the best you can be every time. But, manage expectations always and control that relationship as best as you can.
Yeah, I think that really takes a lot to leave at the right moment. You have to have some kind of integrity, and it's not always easy, but you spend so much time at work, such a big part of our lives. So it's really important, like, to leave at the right point. And I would also like to hear like your perspective on creative teams and creative leadership. You have 6 people now in your team,
Yeah,
and
from different practices, though.
yeah, and what kind of qualities do you think are important in a creative team?
First of all, personality for me. Yeah, we need it. Is, first of all, the idea of team can be different for a very different individual. That's the main thing. So resonating with them must be your first goal, and creatives even more, because you never know. Like, what is creativity? It's everywhere. That's the thing. This is what I try to. I did have the book. I don't know if you ever. Questlove has a book about creativity, which is really good. He's a man of everything. He cooks, he does everything, and he did this book about creativity, which is really interesting. But he did say there was like one point of view there that said, no, not everyone is creative. But our industry also says, no, everyone is creative. And I'll give you an example. Like you're creative when you're putting in your home, I mean, your wardrobe. You're being creative because you're thinking of what you're gonna dress up today to impact something. So you're being creative. You're being creative in anything. Like the same with the definition of innovation. Like it's improving everything that it's already been done. Could be one description. So creativity is everywhere. But to manage that creativity has to do a lot with personality. And here, why do I say personality? Because you need to be able to really, bag it up when you need to bag it up, which is probably your idea is much better than the ones they're putting forward. But as a team, you have to commit, right? So when you do, you commit, and where are those boundaries, right? Because there's the most important thing that I learned in creativity is it's more important the guy who said it than the one who thought about it. Independently of, like, every time you have to, because it's good. Like, oh yeah, I also thought about it. Yeah, but you didn't say it. So
Exactly.
a lot of stuff comes from there, and that had to do again with three things that I learned doing this IDEO course. I don't know if you heard of the concept of psychological safety.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very well. But I'll share it anyway.
Yeah,
So
dude.
vulnerability, curiosity, and openness. So every time I kick off any creative project or work, we do this session, which is how open are we going to be? How curious are we going to be? And again, it all comes back to your personality and where you are and how you're going to be in this project of creative process. So again, this is how I manage my teams, basically through these three pillars: curiosity, openness, and vulnerability.
I think it's also a challenge to find that out pretty early on. Like you can have a facade pretty far in, and then when things get tough or you meet a lot of challenges, people can sometimes change, or sometimes it's also a positive way. Like that's when they reveal their real character and real personality. Like, do you have any advice for finding that out early on?
Whoa, I just missed you. Hello? Yeah.
Yes, I'm
My
back.
advice is to, no worry. My advice is to keep it simple. Always keep it simple. Like, and manage expectations early on. Exactly. This is like manage expectation early on, which is be clear in what do you expect to be delivered. That's the main advice that I want to, because sometimes you're by yourself, because determine how you want to work together, but taking into account how the person is or which qualities the person has. Because do you want an introvert or an extrovert at this part of the process? That is very important, right? Because an introvert wants time for himself. He needs time to be comfortable with the idea that he's selling. But that goes against deadlines, doesn't it? So maybe you need to put the extrovert with the introvert to make it look, you can do the double diamond, like do the divergence that you need, but then do the conversion, the convergence dimension on it. And this is one way. So my advice is this: manage expectations and commit to what you can deliver always. So this is the way I manage it, basically.
Okay, let's talk about your goals. Like, do you have anything you still want to do? Like, still you kind of dream of doing?
Basically, I was a bit like, I was really disappointed in the way that media went. Like, I remember like all this freedom that I had growing up when I was like working the private channel broadcasting that I was. I remember the freedom of, speaking with, wokeness aside, racism aside, the times we're living. I remember the simplicity of, just being able to go outside and explore and do stuff, right? And this is something that it's on my mind. It's like a different way of, okay, how can we progress and evolve the way that we're doing media or consuming media today. This is something that I had on my side as well. And the other thing is, because I'm a parent now, so parenthood is something that is also on my radar. When I was having my first, my first child, I remember like there was these groups of parents. Like there was this editorial project, was really good, called Parenthood, that basically gathered testimonials of parents around the world and how they were coping with parenthood. You know, these types of things is something that I enjoy as well. And also, I don't know, because of the times we're living, this thing of brotherhoods, I'm seeing a lot of popping up, a lot of popping stuff like that. Like I have a lot of creative friends. One of them is a director, and it's someone that I respect a lot. He's going through like this change because he is in this movement. It's also like something that seems very interesting now, because I can tell you also brands are also going through that, right? When we're talking about brand communities or evolving brand communities into fandoms and to stuff like that. Wow, yeah, this is something I would like to uncover
Yeah.
and put my finger in it if I could.
What do you have anything that keeps you inspired, like through boring tasks, or like every job comes with something
Really?
that's not very inspiring, but what keeps you inspired?
What keeps me inspired is trying to put me out of the edge. You know what I mean? Because as a strategist, I must tell you, the most common, the most thing that we struggle with is to limit the depth of our research and the depth of our reasoning. For me, like, sometimes it's just there, but we keep, digging. No, there's more here. We should go here, 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 here. And maybe that's not, that's not the end point of it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't have to share everything that you did with the client. You can share what he's looking for and then keep it like, okay, by the way, have you ever thought of this? Which is for me, so putting me out of the edge is this, is like really assessing and really get to that sweet spot that is, you got it all. He's already conquered, but you don't need to go further than this. This is what they ask for, and this is already too much for them. Because that happens a lot, meaning in the sense that you overwhelm so much your client and your goal that you just lose track of them, because you get him, you hook him, you engage with them, they saw it, but then they see how hard it is to get where what you're trying to sell, and they gave up on it. And this is something that I aspire to do, is be more balanced, or be more, more balanced. It's very hard for strategists to be balanced in it, because they also, you're trying to get to the next thing, the next creative thing, and next everything, and that's just, it's crazy. It's really hard to manage, I would say.
Where do you think like the industry you're in now, evolving into the future, like what is changing?
A lot. I mean, uh, if you are still independent as an agency, please stay there. What we're seeing is a lot of that. I must tell you, I have 3 or 4 references that are agency references. First of all, my top of mind right now is the British agency called Uncommon. I don't know if you know him, Leonard. Can't remember, but Uncommon Studio in London. So they're basically the 3 people that were from Grey that didn't want the big group change, so they left and they created Common. But 4 years into it, they were bought by Havas. But it happened. So what I'm seeing is a lot of movement in conglomerates, which is bundling. Everyone's bundling. So even where I am today, where basically it's bundled, and I think the same thing happened with Dragon 5 as well. But I was telling you, there's at least four agencies that I follow a lot. There are references for me, and that I hope they still independent. They stay independent. But one of them was Uncommon, but recently they're not so independent. But the work is still comes through. I don't know if you got the chance to see the British Airways campaign in Cannes.
I'm not sure actually.
Don't worry, but check it out. But basically, all the print and all the thing is a window of the plane, but with someone like a baby or a woman like travel, and the copy and the simplicity of everything they do and the work that they do is just on spot, and exactly what I don't know what advertising was in the 80s. It was like, it really changed minds. Like, it really made you want to buy it, get into stuff. but it's really like, it's the sweet spot where not only the idea is good, the message is good, and it's simple and clean. Damn it, like let's slow the ding 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 ding, like that's everything, right? It really shifts the way you think and you see other things, right? So Uncommon does that for me. In digital, Fantasy does that for me because of the interaction and their interactivity that they deploy. Also, brand boutiques like Eat Big Fish is something that I resonate with. And this, I lost the question basically, but this is what really inspires me in the way they work. Is something I would love to share with the world, and something that I learned a lot from. I can't remember the question. I'm sorry, Stefan.
You answered the question, and then we went back to inspirations.
Okay.
And
Oh,
that's
no. What I'm seeing in the industry, basically, yeah,
yes,
exactly. Went
yes.
back to inspiration, meaning that these are the trends that we're seeing is the bundling thing, which is we're seeing everything that is good, talent and everything being eaten up by consultancy agencies, which is like, it's not new, but what we saw were three different movements. The first movement was all the big advertising and digital and everything being agglomerated under one umbrella. We had Avas first, Publicis and Publicis second. So basically the industry now is three major conglomerates or holding companies, right? WPP, Publicis, Havas, three main ones. And then what you're seeing is the big four all, trying to climb into the, I just remembered something. I'll get back to it. But what you see is just the big four climbing into the creative side that they didn't have at home, so they can be the full suite. So you're seeing that. You had Capgemini with Frog, and other brand companies that they also bought. You also have Deloitte buying Acne, which is the Swedish company, and buying the creative side of it. And of course, Accenture buying Drugify, which is now Accenture Song. So the trends right now is having the full suite in-house and integrated. So this is the trends, and not trends, the standards that we're seeing today that's what's happening. And that's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think are the benefits for, like, is it only financial benefits or?
I don't know. Think about it. I remember in the automotive also, I mean, I saw this first in the automotive, which is Mercedes-Benz building the in-house design teams. The same thing that happens with product is happening also on the brand level or the creativity level, which is building in-house, building everything in-house. It's more productive and it's more effective for a company. If I was an owner, why am I hiring services that I can build myself? Yeah, that's another one, really interesting one, which are, can't remember their name. Wait. Well, I'll get back to them. But they had a really interesting business model. Like they were the strategic planning of one of the big ones. It wasn't TWA, it was another one, but they were like the planning team there. They went on their own, and their business model was really interesting because they were like into brands, but they went into the startup spectrum. Yeah. The entrepreneur spectrum. So what they did was they would not only build your brands for a stake of the capital of the company, but they would also build the design team for the company. So from the very beginning, from the first RFP or the first brief, they are not only solving your branding challenge, but at the same time, they're building your workforce to keep the longevity of the brand, which for me was amazing. That one. Oh, I can't recall their names, but I can text you. I can text you. But they're really, I remember them. They're really interesting. And it's something that I was thinking of doing here myself.
Yeah, interesting. We're going towards the end, actually. The time is going fast. Do you have anything you would like to add? One thing you feel like is unsaid?
Yeah. I would say like this motto that we have that, what is it? Well, no, just be yourself. So basically, I don't know. I love this. Everything you do comes back to you is still my motto. And this is what I would share with everyone is like, just be yourself. Anything. That's the only thing nobody can take out of you. So try to be yourself, be creative, be inspired. I didn't say it, but I tried the most possible time is like to be creative, going to museums and stuff, and including taking your clients to museums. This is something that is really enlightening. Like take them out of their comfort zone. Like don't do a pitch where they expect the pitch to be.
Yeah, that's
That's a
interesting.
that's a very cool advice to give, which I learned a lot. And I mean, every time they won't like, it'll be on their back of their heads. Oh, I want those guys who took me somewhere and did something with me instead of just coming here and giving me what I asked them to give me.
Team, that's interesting. I might steal that.
Go for it. Go for it. I'll tell you what, this was for the digital agency. So basically it was Lipton iced tea. So they were launching their drink for the first time. So what we did was we did the pitch on a park. What we wanted to sell was like, we should do something that relates to people having picnics in parks, because in picnics is where you feel like having iced tea. So we took the client to a park and said, see what everyone is doing? Like they're in the park having fun and they have a basket with it. There should be an iced tea there. And that was the pitch. So take
Cool.
them out of the comfort zone and do that. Yeah, that's my thing.
It's really cool.
You're
Wow.
welcome.
Thank you, Charlie. It's been a pleasure. We could probably talk for way longer, but let's keep it at this and maybe do a follow-up in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thank you again. Have a great day.
No, you have a great day. Like, remember, if you come to Lisboa or anything else, let me know. Yeah, I'll do some